I want to start the discussion with the situation of America right now. You've got about 6 weeks before civil war breaks out. And you who are here in Grants Pass, you're safe. You're safe for a period of time. But you've got to get your children out of the big cities. You know what it's like to have electricity go out and you have no water. And you've got no food. And you can't get out of town because nobody can get out of town. You'll be stuck in cars, 100 feet thick. The most dangerous place you can be in what's to come is to be in a big city, because they're going to come to you through the door to door. Big cities don't tend to prepare like people in the country. I'm losing my voice, so you'll have to bear with me, excuse me. People in Grants Pass, people in the country are different. They have food, they have electricity, they have generators. If they don't have generators, they got pumps to pump the water out of the ground. But the big cities don't have that. You're in there and you're stuck. And there's no, as far as I can understand, about the only people that are conditioned and organized are the Soros guys, the people who get $10 and a sandwich to do as they're told. And so they've been programmed for a long time. Those are the ones I want to get. If I had enough radio stations, I could neutralize every one of them just over the radio. I know how to dehypnotize them or hypnotize them on the radio and make them change back or make them do as I want them to do, thinking it's their own idea. I know how it's done. I'm a little devil, that's what I am. But I understand the devil. I understand everything that is in the system of Marxism. Marxism is a very dangerous creep, because it creeps. It takes years and years to get the schools, to get the universities, to get the music, and to homosexualize everybody. Homosexuals does not exist in Russia. Only here because we're idiots, because we put all those stupid things in which slowly but surely deteriorate our virtues. And when we are virtuelessness, when we're virtuousness, if there's such a word, then you are easily overcome collectively. It's got to be a collective thing. The media, get the schools, get the kids when they're young, indoctrinate them, put the indoctrination into the schooling, into the textbooks, and things like that. It goes on and on and on and on. In the music, everything. Demoralize everybody and make it feel normal. So you could say, how is it a person can be normal if he's demoralized? He would have some kind of anxiety if he's human. Would you not agree to that? And so everybody who is corrupted fall into two groups. One, I don't like what I am. I'm looking for the answer. I can't find it in a college. I can't find it in school. I can't find it in books. I can't find it in church. I've been everywhere. I've been to all the doctors and psychiatrists. They don't fix me. I don't understand. I've been doing everything. I've been taking their drugs. I've been taking their advice. Nothing works. Nothing will work. Once you have fallen away from your intuition, once you've been corrupted, Once you have, but we're going to go into this just in a few minutes. You are stuck with that for the rest of your life. And it becomes a new norm. Because you can excuse yourself. You're going to find friends who are going to excuse you for you. What excuses you can't make, they will have for you. And if they give you the excuse, they'll control you. Giving you a sense of worth. Yeah, no, you're really all right. Everybody's like that. See? So, what makes a person gravitate to the worst in human beings called politicians? The lowest scum on the earth is a politician. The difference between Netanyahu, the English, the Hebrew, Israeli Prime Minister, the difference between him, he's an ordinary person. He is a person of the people. And he's rightly elected, only by the skin of his teeth, because there's so many in Israel that are not that way. The percentage is important. Like 666, it should be 666 of us, not 666 of them, because that is how democratical countries elect their presidents or tyrants. See, either way, depending on which 666 it is. See, it's not the name of a man. It's the name of a personality, an identity, one that rises to the occasion of the worst in people. And when it rises to the worst in people feel enabled and very dangerous. But they will look to that for reassurance and will elect that for reassurance. Do you understand that if you look at cause and effect, if you want to make a small version of what I'm about to say, there's a small version's family. There's a small version of bully in school. See, there are small versions of the same thing. I'll give you an example. A kid gets beaten by his father. He's a good kid. But his father's wicked, hates innocence. There are people who hate innocence and take their frustration out on their innocent children because who's going to argue? Who's going to find out what goes on? Beating, demoralizing, stupid idiot, you'll never be anything. You know what that does to a child. It doesn't have much. Once that child has been corrupted by their own parent and then sent to school where there is a continuum of the same thing, but worse, and the parent doesn't care, or doesn't understand, get rid of him. There's 80%, almost 80% roughly, and growing, of divorces in this country. What's happened to the kids? No father. Get rid of the father. How do you get rid of the father? You make a woman more important. You make her more intelligent, more loving, and more caring than the man. It's just the opposite way round. Women do not know how to love. Sorry. I want one woman in the world to call me forth and say, I know what love is. Because I can remember in one of the programs many years ago, I can't remember the name of it, it was a very popular discussion about things. It's just a one-on-one conversation with a mentor, talk show host, and a guest. And this guest at that time was a very pretty, beautiful woman, a famous actress. And he said, and I never forgot it. She said, if I could find a man who could say no to me, I would give up everything I had. She understood that she had powers that was not good for her to have, but it has her anyway. Women have powers that it's an inherent power. It is through one man sin and death through sin spread through the human race. One man. But what about the women? Women are still Eve. Men have never corrected the Eve. Eve is attractive because he is the extension of her. He is the extension of broken Adam, sinful Adam. He's the extension, so he's missing something. And the attraction is reproduction, like an animal, but not as a human. You follow that? There's only one man that ever sinned. Only one man in the whole life who's never sinned. Even Hitler. Pardon me. Even Adolf Hitler. If he had a decent father and a lousy mother, let's put it that way, and the father was strong and gentle and firm and always correcting, even though she doesn't get corrected. But he is an epitome of what he should be, even if she doesn't change. The child will see the difference between the two, the male child especially, and the female child hungrily. The male child has it, born. The female child has it, but she's subject, that having it is got to be corrected. The male child has it, but is destroyed by the female, by being born into a house where the man is subject to the woman. And what I'm trying to say is, don't get married. Don't ever get married until you know the woman is submissive to you in a gracious way. Where you go, I go. But you must find the man who is that way, who gently will show you what's wrong. Put the food down. Put the fruit down, Eve. No, you can't spend anything you want. You can't buy the kids. You can't make decisions. You will make decisions together, but I have to make the final decision because you can't have two captains on a ship. Correct? Now, you and the women here understand me, but that particular factor of man born of woman being affected by the woman because the man, the father, has not yet figured it out. He's already married. If you look at the reason why we have 80% divorce rate, because the men do not know what they're getting into. You think I knew what I was getting into? I've got 64 years of hell. Excuse me putting it that way. It's not exactly hell because I'm not a hellion. See? So I've kept her at bay. She doesn't got any better. She got worse. But I'm better. See, do you understand how it works? Even in a marriage family, that doesn't mean to say just because you're a good husband that your wife will be good. She can hold on to her Eve status and make your life miserable. It's like a form of insanity that cannot be cured. And if that's the case, you still don't want to get divorced. You've got kids. So you have to be there for them. And you have to be a contrast to the wife. And she may manage to get coupled. And you may lose some of your family. Jesus said something, if I can remember it. He said, think not I've come to bring peace, but war. In a family, there's father against daughter, daughter against brother, right? He says, I've not come to bring peace because virtue is not in the blood. My children don't have to be me because I'm me. It's who will listen to me. Which one has it in them and which one doesn't. Which one chooses to be what Adam was or what Eve was. What's important is a man to be invulnerable. My nose is invulnerable too. Every time I come into this air conditioning room, it's the same thing. But are you following? I'm actually starting something, spreading it down to a smaller point of view. Because that point of view, that little thing, is what is the reason for war, murder, suicide, mental illness, sickness of every kind. Suicide, that relationship between men and women now is corrupting each other. So you have a corrupted man and a woman that needs to be corrected, and therefore has a power that's not good for her to have, and infects the children because the man doesn't understand what the hell he's dealing with. I suggest that you if you're going to get married, wait 2-3 years. My daughter waited 8 years. My daughter came to me. It's funny, I'm coming around to this subject and I'm talking about civil war. But I'm talking about the root of it. She says, should I marry David? I said, Diane, you have a mind of your own. I can't tell you what to do. You have to see it for yourself. So she waited 8 years. And he waited 8 years. And they have a little problems as they get together, but with me as a referee, they've made it. And so my daughter is 60, is about almost 60. And my son-in-law is a good person, even though he wasn't as perfect, but he waited. There's a goodness in him. He waited. He waited and waited. Because I said, you'll know. And all of a sudden, she woke up one morning and said, I'm going to marry David. I said, it's okay. But that's rare. I'm not saying you wait 8 years, but I'm saying a man must understand the nature of a woman and don't touch her until you understand her. Understand what she needs, and she doesn't need your pause. It's a word I can't say. Your hunger for her pleasure. Not so. A noble man, a man must find who he is. He needs to find the truth that sets him free, but he is subject to the system that you now have in America that turns men into midgets and makes women more important, as if more loving than man can be. The truth is the other way around. Men are capable of love, but they're subject to the woman because of, there's a word I'm looking for. It is what it means is, it is a cause and effect. It's generational. There's the word I'm looking for. It's generational. Every man born of woman. And it's in the scripture because you have done this thing, he says to Adam, dust thou art, and that sort of thing, and I don't remember the whole thing of that. And therefore he shall leave his mother and father and be bonded to the woman as one flesh. Bang! That is the day. That is hell on earth. But hell that can be fixed, because each person coming into the world is not guilty. The child that comes into the world from broken parents is innocent, but the broken parent will break the child. And the broken parent will break the child because the father is born subject to the woman. Therefore, this is the punishment. But it is also not a punishment. It is also a method of redemption, because you're not going to make an Adam and Eve all over again and make the same mistake all over again, because the dark side is still much stronger, and the newly created person is not sufficiently, I'm trying to find a word for it. He's not mature enough to understand what is coming through Eve. And Eve doesn't understand that her voice. I didn't eat the fruit. It didn't hurt me. I didn't die. That was it. It wasn't much to bring him down, because he's brand new. And God understands the difference, that the dark side understands that, and allows that to happen. He allows that to happen because he's going to have to create love in the world. But he can't create love. God is the only person that, how can I say it? I'm saying it just improperly. Let me refeed that to you. He knows that if he creates, he cannot create love. That's one thing God cannot do. Create love. Because love must be a voluntary thing. The animal doesn't need love. It's got instinct. And it will follow its instinct. And that keeps it an animal alive. For better or for worse. Right? He dies or he lives. He gets eaten or eats. Too bad. That's all there is to it. Roughly. But a brand new person has no chance for that. Nevertheless, he gives it instruction. And he makes the excuse. You make the excuses. You're doing the same thing. Unconsciously. How many people don't make an excuse here? Nobody. The excuse is evidence that you have been programmed. That you're not your own person. And who are you making the excuse to? It's your Creator. And who do you want an excuse from? From a dark side. In other words, you're okay the way you are. But some people, yes, we all go to, there's a tendency for all of us, especially women, to look for love in all the wrong places. Because they don't know where love really is. Love is not there. Love is not in the woman. Love is not in the man. But each one of them in their relationship have conflict, because the woman is subject to that which spoke to Eve. She has that in her. And men are born of that, and therefore subject to that in her. Therefore, shall you leave your mother and father and be joined to the woman, become one flesh with her. Wrong. That is got to be broken. And trials and tribulations and misery and suffering is everywhere on earth, no matter where you go, to Borneo, you go to any place, and it's always there. And there are people who love what's right and can't find it, and don't know how to deal with those who are not right and enjoy it. And the tendency then is, because you do not understand your own life, these sufferings will continue until the truth sets you free. And if there's any place in the world that you can find this truth is in America. But even in America, the dark side of the force has taken over you in the last 60 to 70 years. Slowly but surely, a hard-won freedom is disappearing, and people do not understand as one by one, group by group, Jewish, Christian, whatever it is, slowly but surely, they all get a sense of righteousness from anything, from Judaism, from Christianity, from drugs, from alcohol, from perverse pleasures. We look to, when we are violated, we cannot help but look to that which has corrupted us to make us feel good about ourselves. But it's not good. Good is worse. It's always good. The more you feel good, the worse you become. And the more you've become, the more you are supported, the more you look for what love is. There's a different kind of love. Love is a different kind of thing because it's a longing. And so what is in you is longing to be complete. Is longing to be complete because it's disconnected from what could complete it by an early trauma with a parent who is passing the generations to generations. It's the same old thing over and over again. And Marxism has spotted that in Russia, how mental illness is created by their parents. They saw how broken the average person was and how much mental illness and sickness and problems and rebellion and murder and whatever it is they do, it carried through the generations, and the intellectual ones saw that and said, if we can make them that way, they will be ours. If we can do that to them, if we can just take the place of their parents, and bully them first. But you don't have to always bully them. You can take over the bullied ones and embolden the bullied ones. And that's what the government does. Embolden the bully ones, and bully those who are not yet, are still innocent. Because what bullies you owns you. Now I'll come back to my opening salvo of my hypnotic skill. It is very dangerous skill. I don't want to use it. What I'm trying to say, and it's almost escaped me, but my nose got in the way.
Six.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you were saying 6 weeks until.
Yeah, I'm coming to that.
That's what you're getting
I'm coming to that.
From the beginning.
Yes. So basically, well, you remind me of that, because I want to come back to that. But I've got to show you, if I can get to enough people, if I can get supported enough from people, I'm running against all kinds of difficulties because who I am. Jesus had the same thing, didn't he? They want to kill him while he's a baby. They don't want, because they're afraid of the spoken word. There's something about the spoken word that can kill you or cure you. I can do both. I can kill the spirit, bad spirit in a person, and convert him, literally kill him. Because when I say that, what they do to you, what the spirit of paradise lost in your parents, in your government, and your government understands it better than the average person who needs the support of the government, because the less they are, the more they need help from something. And it's not your next door neighbor who take advantage of it. It's the government that can take advantage of you by taxing you. There are those who work and give it to those who can't work. And so that's an addiction. That's a kind of love. It's a kind of spoiling and making them codependent. A love-hate relationship. They love and also they hate because they feel nothing when they feel humiliated when they have to take things. After a while, they have no ability to help themselves at all. And therefore, they turn into dope pushers or dopes who take from the dope pusher. See? And then they become violent because they're dissatisfied with their life and they don't know how to get things for themselves. And so therefore, they've been enabled. Therefore, they are... Well, I'm going to try to find the best way to say it. When a person is enabled and not able to get what he's enabled for, he has a hunger for pleasure, a hunger for what enabled him. But the enabling is never going to be enough from the government. And so, just like you, when you are successful, you say, oh, that's wonderful. And then you want to be more successful, and you say it's wonderful, and then you have a car, and then it's the first car you ever had, and then after your business gets better and you're doing well, you have a nicer car. You're never going to be satisfied in it. You might, but it's not a bad thing. If you can have anything you want as long as you don't overindulge yourself. You'll be wise about these things, but they have nothing. So, what mine is mine. What's yours is mine. So what they're left to do, because they're not able to bring it to themselves, is to stop a person and put a knife to their throat. What mine is mine. What's yours is mine. That's what makes a criminal. And there's protection for that. There's protection for that. It has a beginning. And the same government then will put you in jail or let you off. Just recently, I have recently, not recently, but some time ago, mentioned several times that this government will open the doors of converted murderers and let them out. He did that last week. He took 2,500 criminals and let them go with the excuse, we don't have room for them. They will be converted into, they will be, when you give person an appointment to be something. I can't find it. I can't find the word for it.
Deputized.
Deputized. Thank you. Deputized, and therefore have the right to go from door to kill you. And that's just the beginning, because there's hundreds of thousands of those in the population, because the people in the jail are not the really bad people. They're the ones that are the victims of bad people. The bad people are still producing bad people out there. See? The really bad ones you don't catch. And a person who wakes up as a murderer says, what did I do? How did I get here? Because they're programmed into being rebellious and angry, frustrated, and wanting to kill someone, hold somebody up. There's a compulsion to be something, even if you have to make somebody nothing, and steal it from them, because the hunger is so great, and the sense of entitlement is so great. And your government has done this to your country now. There's 80%, almost 80% of divorce. And how did they do that? They did it the way Eve was seduced. When Eve opened her mouth, it wasn't Eve, it was what spoke to Eve. And Adam listened for the first time. He did not listen to what his father who created him. He doubted himself. He wasn't skillful. The inclination of God knew that was going to happen. Just one pair. Just one. The rest is history. It's doing unto others what was unto you. So you have children, and Eve subject to Eve, not Adam. Adam had a burning desire. If you read further on in the scriptures, he could not control himself. He was burning. He saw he was naked, and therefore sin opened all the five senses as an animal in conflict with its human. And therefore, your government, your present government, you tended that there were so many broken people looking for entitlement. Yes, thank you. So many broken people looking for entitlement that you have a government is now a communist government and has power. Millions and millions and millions of people subject to that and bred so that, in other words, they reward, to make a simple point, reward a woman to be a whore, to have 3 or 4 kids and pay her $4,000 a month, to have no father. Don't you understand what situation those kids are born into, where you have nothing else around you except chaos and cruelty and gang leaders. What do the gang leaders do? They make sure they don't grow into anything. And where every inner city, and this is what makes the inner cities dangerous, you have within that city, especially with Black Americans, because they have followed a history of being corrupted like that. What you have is a series of people in every big city. You will have Democrats. Democrats are slavers. The Democrat that is in the inner city with all the corruption and horror and making sure they don't get a good education and to encourage corruption or punish corruption because they're not corrupt enough. See that? They are people from the South. The kind of person from the South was like Nazis, correct? Worse than Nazis in a free country. And so we had a civil war, but it still didn't, the corruption, the contempt for color continued, right? Until Martin Luther King came. And so we fought a war, the North fought a war to the South. We didn't have 2 parties. We only had one party, it's called a Conservative Party, right? Republican. And so with only a Republican North and a corrupt South, a Nazi kind of South, see? And so therefore they want to keep that slave. And it doesn't matter what the reason, they want to keep it. And they die to keep it. Brother against brother, right?
Correct. Good.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I totally see where you're going.
And why we have it in our upper cities now?
Yes.
We got 2 parties. One of them is an enemy.
Yes, and how...
And the other one's become an enemy.
Exactly.
Somebody bought both of them.
Right. Exactly how I see it is they got all the monkeys in one barrel, okay? And you jumped out of the barrel of the monkeys, and you have what it takes to fix this situation. But in the barrel where everybody is right now, with all the other monkeys, you you don't give advice, you don't give opinions, and you're not complaining. But the language has been so abused and so misused that all the monkeys in the barrel, no matter if you tell them in 6 weeks this is what could take place in this country, all those monkeys in the barrel are going to think like the government's taught them because of they have an opinion. They're going to tell you what their opinion is, and they're going to have advice for you, and they're going to tell you the complaint. And that's how they got us all tricked. And the reason that is because humans have to have a reason to believe what they've learned in schools from the beginning of their mother and father. It starts in the beginning.
Basically, it's not just a belief in its purest sense. It's corruption.
Yes,
You take
corruption.
a child and you yell at them and you demoralize them. You're a stupid kid. Mm-hmm. These things cause reactions in the child because it's injustice. And injustice, how many people hate injustice? Yes, but you become unjust. And you may not know you're unjust because it's normal. It's you. And you think that when something is wrong, but what is wrong is what right is. So in other words, right is a threat. Right, a child is a threat to an ISIS murderer. He hates innocence. Now, there's a variation of it, and you may not know that you are cruel. You don't know when you get impatient with your children that you're projecting your own guilt into that person and relieving yourself for a moment, thinking you're bringing him up and giving him the disciplines. All you're doing is turning him into what you are, or a slave of what you are. See? And so the little boy who gets beaten by his father could either become a wimp, but he's crying and angry. He goes to school one day and he's angry. And then someone says, "Hey, Joe, what's the matter?" "Shut up." All of a sudden, he discovers something. Shut up means, and the person starts to, "What have I done?" Nothing, just shut up. But the point is what he's doing he's doing what his father did to him. And he discovers this power there. In other words, a sense of redemption from guilt. A sense of being above something rather than beneath something. See?
I had a question or a comment of your insight on when a parent takes a disposition of just always putting the child down and devoted to that very strongly. And that's
never
what's
admit
happened to
they're
me
wrong.
when I grew up, and
Yeah.
that's what's happened to my friend Heather here. And it's very difficult because the programming on it is just so strong.
It is
when their
powerful.
devotion and dedication of
Yes.
daily, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, everything's wrong,
Yeah.
everything's wrong, you're doing this
And then
wrong.
you try to do it right and it's wrong. Because you
And
don't
then
know what right is
don't-
anymore.
You don't have a ground for what's right. They
That's
totally
right.
reverse these things. But it's very hard in that situation when someone is completely dedicated towards telling you,
To kill you.
yeah,
No, they want to kill you, and they want
but
to
they
kill your
think
spirit.
they're fine. They think, well, in my case, my dad just thought knew what was right for everybody. He thought, but he was trying to make clones.
Of course.
So,
But you see, what has passed into you, you're a good person. You wouldn't be here. You're not here criticizing me. You're here to listen. And what I'm here trying to share with you is coming in just a few minutes. But you need a background. And you really need to understand how God is able to find a person who is perfect. become perfect as your Father in heaven. That's why he brings the Jesus in, who is born perfect. He's born perfect but must be tested. You know, he's like one of us, but he's connected to his Father still. And he's got to set an example by all the things he has to suffer and not hate the hurter. Even he cried out, the very last thing he says. His power lies in what I'm just about to say. He didn't whimper. He didn't cry. He could have made it, he had the power to take the pain away and go through it without pain. He allowed himself to be a human being like everybody else, to be assailed of cruelty and contempt, and having his arms, hands hammered with a nail into the wood, and to die a terrible death, and then cry out, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." He's not saying that for himself. He is saying the last message, the last thing he can say. The most important thing you say, don't hate the hurter. Now I come back to that, because they buried him in a tomb, and after 3 days, the rock rolled by itself away, and he wasn't there. And then he reappeared, and he said, "Don't touch me, it's not complete." What he was doing is giving a visual experience to those who surrounded them. They were good people, they weren't going to lie. They saw him, and he stayed around for a while, and then he disappeared. But the point is, he had regenerated. The body's gone. The body is still there, but it's transformed into something different. There's a certain magic here. God is a magician. God is a magician. I used to love. I like to do magic tricks. See, watch me. Oh, see. And when I was during the war, in the early part of the war, before I went to the military, the bombs were coming down, and we had a little flat. I was studying the encyclopedia. That's boring. Well, I discovered magic, and I like it. It's fun. I can entertain you for 3 or 4 hours with just borrowed objects. And you won't believe the skills I have. And I do it with kids. I don't do a whole performance. But I'm interested in seeing how awestruck people are. How did you do that? How could that be done? It's right in front of my nose. It's an awe of magic. I say that the universe that is still being created is not stopped. It never will stop. It will never stop being created, ever. Look at the vastness of it now. It's never going to stop, because there's an infusion of energy that's unbelievable. There's an infusion of it that is the substance of its growth. And we won't. I have written I have a thesis on that, 120 pages. It's taken me 35 years. I know where it comes from. I can describe where it comes from, but I don't know where that is. I could understand the beginning and how it works, and how energy is created, how gravity appears as a push force, etc., etc. I don't want to go into that right now. But what I'm trying to say is, I have found the magic. When Jesus, several times in the Bible, but a simple one, he passes the fig tree, and there was no fruit on it. Now, he wasn't angry with the fig tree. He just cursed it, and it shriveled up. And then the disciple says, Why did you do that? He said, I want to show you that you can do that too. That's interesting. You can just curse that tree and make it disappear and shrivel up. You can waken the dead. You can do anything. You can overcome the mountains. How did he say that?
Mustard seed.
How did he say it? He says you can
You have the faith of a
move a
mustard seed.
mountain. You can move mountains. Words to that effect. He says that you can ask God anything and He will give it to you. I have experienced that. I'm 88 years old. I swimming in the channel in front of my house and swallowed some sewage. And therefore I was sick for 4 years and almost died. They never could figure out what it was a parasite. It ate my pancreas. I have a problem with it still today. But one thing led to another, heart problems. You know my story. And grew new arteries. Everything has changed. Look, I'm strong. I'm strong. I'm 88 years old. You still don't want to mess with me, right? But what I have learned is regeneration. And regeneration as far as it takes me as a mortal. But there's something more than mortal. It's immortal. That is what Jesus wants us to come to. I have found, and not glory it, I have found the magic. And magic is this. I make no decisions. I wait and see. I do not plan anything. I don't worry about what's going to happen next because I know I have the answer and I have the way to react to it properly. I'll have the words. I will have the notion of what to do. But I don't know what I'm doing while I'm doing it. It all is doing it through me. I like that. He is doing things through me and making my life easy. Oh, everything's okay there. Now everything's okay there. Oh, there's another big thing happening. Now it's worse. There's something worse I never thought of before. I'm still dealing with it the same way. But the more I deal with it, getting myself out the way and letting God show me the way and give me the courage to take the backlash. Because when you speak the truth, and when you act the truth, when you are really coming from a good place, and what comes out of your mouth and who you are, is a pain, an affront. What's another word for that? I can't find the word for that. But it's an object. It is painful to the adversary for you to be that, to speak that. And so here it is. The state I'm speaking about, I want you to be in. And it's taken me years to find a way to express it. And I started my journey with hypnosis because I had to understand what Hitler was doing. How did he turn all those people into wimps to the bullies? So you have a generation of people who support the bully, but you dare not speak about that, otherwise they kill you. So you've got to support the soldiers who are murderers and will give their lives to the beast called Hitler. How did he do that? I know it, and I could do it myself, but I can't because it's not in me. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. You have to have that in you. What I got was the opposite in me. I wanted to know how it works. So, but I can make that work. But I can make it work different. I'm saying something now I didn't mean to say today. I'm going to try to get it across to you. The evidence that I am believable, the fact that I am believable, if you see my believability, it isn't me. I wanted to talk to you about something, and I brought it with me, but I can't help it. It's not what he wants me to do. I just wanted to ask a very, very difficult question. I thought I'd start with that. Here I am. I'm saying something I've said before, but refining it, refining it, refining it, refining it, until there's nothing to do. Till there's nothing to do. I do not do anything of myself. The Father within me, he doth the work. Clear. It's in the scripture. I like that. Because if it isn't that, it's the opposite. The dark side will make me do things that, through me, that I cannot help. See how simple that is. So when I'm accosted by a person, when I've got a problem, and I've got a big one right now, I'm not touched by it. I know I'm going to win it. I can't lose. I cannot lose my cool. I'm being tested in every possible way. Family right now. War. War. Who's wrong? Who's right? How does it get that way? Which side should I be on? Whatever. Everybody's got a problem. And because when I was younger, I didn't understand what I understand now. So it happened. See that?
Yeah, my feeling of it is in myself, my journey in life, the battles that I have come up against, it all goes back to Sarah and Abraham, and then the land, when their land was taken from them, eventually when their land was taken from them, is that there was never a reason to war in their hearts. So when the Lord and the Creator presented them and said, well, you want something to fight for? Okay, your land's gone.
That's not true.
Well,
the Jewish people got what they deserved.
right.
I'm Jewish. They got what they bloody... Yes, I'm Jewish, but I didn't have to change my religion because Christian, Jesus is a Jew. So he's my rabbi. So I'm a Christian by extension.
Well, that's good.
See, so you don't have... You see, a Jewish person... He's Jewish. All the disciples were Jewish. What are you talking about? You call that Christianity. I call him as a rabbi. But a special rabbi, not like the others. He doesn't teach you. It doesn't lord it over you and make you learn verses and chapters and verses and chapters and being an authority of verses and chapters.
Yeah, but how I see it, I see the Last Supper and the wedding party, they're still going on, but when he reached over to him and said,
yeah,
go
but this is very vague. What you're doing now is very vague.
Okay, well, it's abstract.
I don't mean to be rude, but it's vague.
It's abstract.
I like people speaking from the audience. Forgive me, but we need to stay on the track. So, because this has to do with you. All it takes is to find what it means to be still and know that He is God. That's all. That little piece right there. That little tiny piece, what does it mean to be still? That is what I've collected everything, in a sense, watched everything, and see which one was the most important. The others are all behaviors. But this is the root of behaviors. See? Be still and know everything you need to know. What does it mean to be still? Is it mantra? Is it stopping your brain from working? No. What is it? I can't tell you, but I can show you where it is. I can't describe it. I can tell you it's there. And you speak with, and so if you're still, you hear. For instance, you're being still right now and you're listening. A person can actually sit there and not be still and thinking about other things while I'm talking and really not understand a word I'm saying. So you are being still right now. And you're deciding, as you hear my words pass your ears and my behaviors, also behaviors, an energy field. See, it's an energy field if you don't speak. You could actually, your energy speaks. So if somebody wants to push you around and you don't say anything, he doesn't know what's happening because he doesn't know how to upset you and he can't control you. He can't seduce you and he can't control you. He tries. But that's the only reason why he can hurt you and manipulate you and own you is because you react. You can't serve two masters. You can't react to one and not the other. So the evidence that you have found God is that you don't react. You're not moved by stress and pressure. Lead us away from temptation. Lead us away from the hypnotist. That's the name. That is the modern name for it. So a hypnotic state lasts forever, and the hypnotic state begins when you come into the world with a bitch of a mother and a son of a bitch of a father, and a lot of bitches and sons of bitches, and everywhere you look, doing unto others what was done to them. Not doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. They can't stop themselves. They're actually breeding misery. The whole country is a brazen misery. And you've got good people who are not good enough. And you've got bad people who are bad. How do you expect to win? Good enough is me. And you have to be me, or what's in me, or you're finished. You have to come back to virtue. But not virtue that is verses and chapters. Screw the verses and chapters. They're very good, but you don't study them. You don't stuff them in your head and recite them like an actor on the stage. You have that constitution inside you. You don't need it. Everybody was trying to convert me to Christianity. I said, "Where's Jesus?" He says, "In me." I said, "Well, I don't know where's in? What are you talking about?" They don't even know what you're talking about. You got thousands of different versions of Christianity. None of them know what they're talking about. They're being slaughtered like flies. They don't know how to protect their own children. We got guns here. That's fair enough. That gives us an opportunity to hide behind those guns and find some courage. I know how to use one. Where did I leave it? Listen, I'm 88 years old, but you don't mess with me. I could speak on the radio and ask people to call me, and they won't. You have a difficulty? You think I'm wrong about you on the left and you on the right? I finished my talk, asked people to call. Nobody will. They're afraid. You either appreciate it and you get better, or you hate me and get worse. You know the words that your parents speak to you to destroy your soul. The government does the same thing, much more sophisticated. We won't go into that right now, because there is a system in a family which is exactly duplicated in politics. It's the whole system of things. What you do, you have no tolerance for your children. And you kill the spirit. And you send them to school to finish that off. And you don't see anything wrong with it. Ritalin and Prozac. You don't see anything. You just, there's something's missing. They hear, but they don't understand. They see, but don't perceive. What's that mean? It means that you have another way of seeing. My eyes shoot. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit because it's so subtle. My eyes shoot out energy. So I'm looking at the inside of a person. I'm looking inside of a plant. I'm looking inside the universe I find God. Because only, in other words, He's in me and He shows me things. And the reason why I know it, because He tells me. Whatever I need for my enlightenment, the flower that grows, the grain of grass, the grass growing in the ground, the mud that was created by so that it could have life and we can eat fruit of the trees. This is all magic, pure magic.
How do you know, okay, there's the intuitive, and then there's the voice. How do you know for sure which
I should
is which?
I should divorce my wife. She's difficult to this very day, but she's losing her memory. I'm not. I say, Anne, if you keep this up, 1 minute she's nice, the next minute she's, difficult. And I try to help her, and that sounds like an abuse, a cruelty. So it sounds like, I said, hey, look, this is how, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to you the way I talk to her, but she resents it. And she walks around like she understands it, and she understands it, by memory, she is good at that. She can actually talk very philosophically. She isn't, it's not there. It's slowly disintegrating. I don't want that to happen. I cannot help kill you. They, just like your father could not help but kill your soul, but he did it with pleasure. He did it to you because it was done to him. Okay, so if you get married, whether you're a woman or a man, if you could find the secret of forgiveness, how can I say this? If you could learn, no, that's the wrong word. If you can receive redemption from original sin, because you were born into a culture. A culture has its constitutions, evil, semi-evil, good like it is in America. But even the Constitution is overridden, and because we're so broken, we can't speak up. See?
I guess my question is, my experience, and I'll just ask if this is correct or not. The dark side tends to be a voice, and the intuition tends to be
Intuition is not a voice.
Yeah, it does. Intuition.
It's a voiceless voice. It's a wordless
wordless
word.
heart.
Huh?
Maybe a feeling through your heart.
No, no feeling.
Okay.
If there's a feeling, you're dead.
Okay, then intuition.
You cannot have a good feeling or a bad feeling.
The intuition then is.
The intuition is not understandable. Intuition is timing. it is demeanor. It has an energy field completely opposite to neutralize stress field. In other words, temptation is stress, and the tempter is the hypnotist. He's in power if he can put stress on you, and if you react to it, what's in him gets into you and pulls you away from who you really are when you were born. Everybody has it when they're born. So you have redemption there before you were born. As you came into the world, but you lost it to culture. Because you're born of woman. Man born of woman is corrupted. Immediately they come into the world, almost immediately, if not immediately, as you become aware, which is a gift to the child. You notice how children are so beautiful and ask the right questions and so innocent. That's how you should be, but with a bigger, strong body, with lots of experience, with lots of suffering. See, but at one point you suffer because you get worse. But the worst of suffering, it gets so bad, you go looking for the answer to suffering, but cannot find it in this world. And eventually, you know it's not of this world, and you hear a person like me, if there are others like me, and I'm sure there are, but not on radio. So they get lost. There are good people out there who understand what I'm saying. I meet them. They have it. And they don't even know they have it. But the bad guys don't even know they have it either. And they love what they have, and they love what loves them for that. And that's evil. And when you have enough people in the country like that, then they overcome the good. And the good are guilty, and the wicked are innocent.
So any kind of feeling whatsoever
None.
is a problem.
None. You mustn't have any feeling for anybody at all. That sounds cruel, doesn't it?
Sounds like a robot,
No.
but it
No.
sounds that way.
You're talking about a person who represses feeling
Yeah.
because it hurts them so bad. Well, do you see you have people that repress feeling because it makes you feel bad. But it's an intuitive, sort of semi-intuitive knowing that you can't let that bad affect you, so you bury it, but it's killing you.
Then,
Or you express it to get rid of it. But then
the
you're
resentment
judging.
bubbles up.
You're projecting, you're making somebody sick, that's guilt. You can't express it or suppress it. You're dead. Either way. And if somebody is charming and you fall for it, especially sex, or you fall for it because they give it's like a little lollipop to a little kid who is insecure. He takes the lollipop and you take the kid. And I feel no pressure, no matter what it is. If you should put a gun against my family.
So first comes the feeling, and then that's when you know.
No, I don't feel it.
If you feel it come, then you know that is.
If you have a feeling of irritation, which is the important part, if you feel the slightest irritation, which you can hide, you're dead. You have no life after that. Things will get worse and worse, and the feelings will get so used to it you won't notice it. And because you find people have the same thing and make you feel better about yourself. And therefore you are being controlled by that person, or you do that to them. It's hell. You cannot trust anybody. Because they don't know they're doing it. So you have to be separate from the world. You cannot be in the world and of it. You can be in the world and not of it. I am in the world and not of it.
So your energy would be flowing outward from
I
the heart?
don't feel the energy. I feel nothing. But something happens. If I feel it, then I can take credit for it. I don't know how it works. I don't know what to do. And whatever is I to do is either nothing and let it go, or something which is obvious. And how else would you do it? I have to give you an example. May I? It's just a story I've told you before, so I don't want to brag. I took on a gang leader with 20 guys behind him on my next to my house. There's an empty lot between the two of us, and they're going up and down with their cars and everything else. The cars go like that, and the police can't catch them because they seem to have a lookout. They're running up and down the street. It's a dead-end street. And there's 20 in that house, one space away, one lot away. I got fed up with it. I went around to the people in that area, and they didn't know what to do. So all I did, I find myself standing in the street, and the cars come whizzing down. I won't move. I don't know why. I found myself doing it. It seems normal. Something you should do, but not something you would do if you were somebody else. So we'll have to learn these things. And so that pissed them off. And so and then they came in front of me with their cars doing this and making unpleasant sounds from their mouth. And so one morning, there's 20 of them standing out there. They can hear my voice. I said, "Who is your leader? Come here." So he comes. Now, why am I doing this? I didn't have a gun. My wife and children were standing by the curb outside my house. I said, "Who is your leader? Come and face me, you coward." So he comes. He's a big guy, big lanky guy. I says, "You can't hurt me. I will make you do exactly what I want you to do." He laughs. I said, "I will make you do. First of all, I'm stronger than you. Touch me and you're finished. Secondly, I will control your mind, and then you will be finished." And he starts to laugh. And he says, you get angry? He says, "Yes, so what's it to you?" I said, "Let me see how angry you could be." And he got so angry. And he raises his hand to hit me, and my mind, quicker than him, saw it coming. And I said, "That's what I want you to do." And then he rebelled. He remembered me saying I was going to make him do it. Of course, he would have done it anyway, but that was the difference. I will make you do it. That's what I want you to do. And his hand froze in midair, and he couldn't put it down. And he ran away with his hand up. That's a hypnotic state. He didn't know who he was dealing with. But I did that without knowledge or forethought. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't know why I was doing it, but it felt perfectly natural that I should do it. Now, if somebody would say to me, "How did you do that?" How else would you do it? That is how I explain it. How else would you do it? It's the right thing to do. Stand up for yourself. And even if you're going to be beaten, but I don't consider that. I don't care whether I'm beaten or not. That doesn't enter my mind. I just do it. That's how it must be. But you can't do this without God. You have to be still and know what to do. Know what to say. Know what to write. See? In other words, I do not know what I'm going to say before I get here. It was, except for blowing my nose half a dozen times, which doesn't count for speech. I'm here to say things, maybe I've said a lot of it before, but to emphasize what beautiful simplicity it is. And then the person might say, well, you know, what kind of person you are, oh, you must be a robot of some kind. You've only got two choices. You have to be, you're not God, so you have to be subject, something. Animals and creatures are all of God. The grass that grows, the apple trees that give apples, everything in the universe He's created. He created you in His image. But the difference between you and a cat or a dog is that you have intuition and you have the ability to respond to the Creator or to the creation and become like them. But in the creation world, there's another force. You are born into this world. He was born into the world, Adam, and therefore he has a relationship with God. He says, do not eat off that tree. You can eat anything you want, even the tree of life, and live forever, which is returned to you when you find what I'm speaking about. There's a forever thing. You are not born like an animal that dies and reproduces and dies and reproduces. Your reproduction period ends at some point, and you become the husband, the father to the wife, who is now your daughter, back like it was before. If the woman is gracious, you both see paradise. If the woman is not gracious, I'm going to say what Socrates said. He was asked that question. I remember things like this. This is actually brilliant. He's asked. He says, "What about marriage?" He says, "If you have a good wife, that's good. If you have a bad one, you become a philosopher." I'm a philosopher. She's not bad. She doesn't get it. She just plays little games. But what I'm trying to say is this, that you cannot... The first tragedy was, who was it hanging himself? Of the disciples. You don't forget? Judas. He hung himself. Do you think Jesus was concerned about that? No. It was a result of hating him and betraying him. Anybody who betrays me, anybody who hurts me, has a 10 times the chance of dying quickly. And I say that on the radio. You with a face, driving the car, you with a face, you either like what I'm saying and you get better, or you hate me and you will die 10 times quicker than you would have. And in other words, it's my right to kill the wicked spirit as it is his right to kill your good spirit. But I don't do it that way. I don't get upset with it. And the reason why it works is because You do not deal with it. You are not dealing with evil. You can't deal with the evil in that person. You have to let God deal with it through you, in His time and His way. And the evidence to the person who tests you before he beats you up, to magnify it. He tests you, you stupid little fool. I'm in a bar. Let's say I'm in a bar. I don't go to bars, but let me say I am there. And somebody sees me having a glass of ginger pop. I don't drink. See? So you say, oh, you're a dirty old Jew, or something. And he pushes me. I don't do anything. And the reason why he's doing it, first of all, he's nice, mean, and then he's sarcastically nice. He's looking for, if he owns me. If I react, he owns me. He can do what he likes because I'm not as strong as him. But what makes me stronger than him is he cannot, when he does this, he finds that instead of me reacting to him, he feels like he's being pushed, demoralized by me standing there. In other words, he starts to get afraid because he only has a few times to try again, push harder. You stand your ground. You're standing your ground effortlessly. It doesn't take, and if it takes energy, you're done. It means you are going to do something. You are reacting in kind, and you lose, unless you're bigger than him, of course. But I'm saying what's meaner and bigger than you. I'll tell you a story of a lady. I was a partner in a diamond business with a friend. His wife was a Jewish woman in Germany, and they're rounding up the Jews. And they're screaming and everything. It's being taken off in trucks. And she walked up to the commandant and said, "Excuse me, I'm a nurse. I have my patients. Do you mind getting out of the way? Thank you." And he looked at her. Respected. And she went out, and everybody else died. It happens this way that you will survive when nobody else will. That's the prize. Even Jesus, when he died, he still lived. He makes the point. There's something more than just being protected and never winning but never losing your cool. You win but not losing your cool. But what is it behind you that is causing you not to use your cool, to look like you're brave when you're not? I don't feel brave when it happens. I just do it. Oh, that's interesting, but I'm beginning to understand what that is, even when I didn't understand it before. I understand. It's a gift to me. And not only is a gift, to the degree that I do the right thing, which is not terribly dangerous, nice kind of good things, and then I'm dealing with bad things, it's pure. And it's curable, it's curative to that person, or enlightening to that person. So if I'm on the radio and saying, "You silly, foolish people," see, don't you hear what I'm saying? These words are true and not coming from me. Let me warn you. I do it on radio. You will die 10 times quicker than you would have, maybe soon. Or, my words will get into your head, but your words won't get into mine. What is in me gets into you, but you can't get into me, personally, on the radio, or any time. But what will happen is, you die quickly. You die, literally die. reacting, because here's your opportunity to listen to someone who knows, who understands what I'm talking about. And if you're decent, you will know it. You will recognize it, and it will feel like a breath of fresh air. That's what it feels like, a breath of fresh air. All I'm doing is awakening to what? Awakening you. I have the power to awaken you from that trance and give free you to be who you are. And I catch and release you. Goodbye, nice seeing you. You don't have to come to my church every week. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to send me any money. It's up to you. It has to be you, the good in you.
Would you say you have your faith with your Creator?
I don't know what faith is. I think that's faith. See, I can't tell you. And that's what, maybe this is this, we got time. This is a gentleman that wrote to me. No, it comes in handy. May I read this to you? It's not very, it's only just a page or two. This is a gentleman from Tanzania. And I've helped Tanzania, a group of people there, and they now have a very good president, the best they've ever had. But I've helped them to overcome post-traumatic stress disorder, helped them to overcome AIDS, because as long as you have been infected by a spouse who was not in his right mind and comes home and infects you with it, as long as you're not a homosexual, dyed in the wool, your immune system will work again. And if I can just get you the panic out of you and give you a little bit of faith. And so people were getting better, right and left from what do they call it?
AIDS.
AIDS, yes. They got cured. Even the priests were getting better from AIDS. I send pictures of all these things. I've got a whole, that's 25 years ago. I mean, up to now. And so anyway, so he is one of those people, and he has his own business. He has a machine business, and his name is Kephas. Kephas, K-E-F-A-S. I hope he's listening. This is what he asked me, this question. Today I have a difficult question for you. I read in the book of Matthew of 3 different times and places Jesus did point out to his disciples about the power of faith, believing and not doubting. He says to Peter, "Why do you doubt?" when he tried to walk on water and started drowning after the wind came up. When the disciple failed to cast out the demons, he says, "You of little faith." When he cursed the fruitless tree, it withered instantly, and he says to his disciple that they could also do that if they have faith and not doubt. Somewhere else I read he said, "If you believe you can receive whatever you ask in prayer, the prayers of the righteous availeth much." It will work. The prayers of the righteous, not just anybody muttering under their breath. Okay. And what righteousness is the state I'm talking about. He does that naturally. He can read your mind and put it in your mind to want something. I'd like to have that. A month goes by, a year goes by, it's in there. All of a sudden, there it is. It's either cheap enough you can't resist it, or it's free. Now, elsewhere he says, well, here it is. And many more other places in the Bible I have not read. I also remember back in 2009 and 2010, you once told me that my sins were forgiven, and you said there's no other words that you could use to make me believe this. Now I learned that it's all about faith, believing, and not doubting. Now, from a practical point of view, are we capable of deciding to start believing or not doubting, or have faith? Is it our choice that from now on I want to believe and have faith? Or is it grace? It's well written. Even with be still and know, that little element of doubt is hard to go away. Correct? See. Faith, as small as a mustard seed, can move and relocate mountains. Many of us would like to have that, but I presume. But why has it been so difficult with us and yet so simple with others? If there's a barrier in life, I want to cross over. This is it, doubtlessly. Many thanks in advance for your wisdom on this topic. Regards, Keithas. Anybody identify with that? Anybody who has had that and has passed it would like to speak up?
I wanted to say something. Sometimes we come in, and we have like a question in our mind, and it just gets answered by sort of being in this good energy. When I came in last week, I had this thing going on in my head, and quite a while in the past, I had initiated some things. I'd gone to some Oregon legislators to tell them about some things that I thought were happening.
Just give me an example.
I had gone to some people in the legislature to tell them some things that were happening in state government that I thought were wrong.
Yes.
And
what about it?
okay, well, when I made the decision to do that, it was because I could feel that it was the right thing to do, and I could feel this.
No harm done.
No, and some things were happening. They set up a committee. They started an investigation. It was going forward. And all of a sudden, it's like somebody flipped a light switch and everything disappeared.
Of course, it happens a lot.
Yeah, okay, so I was upset that everything had gone away.
Okay, hold it right there. See, you expect, because you stood up, that a certain effect would take place. You can't assume.
No, and I agree with you, and that's
do not worry about the outcome.
I agree with you, and that's what
And
faith
if it
is.
fails, no, listen. Will you agree me or not? Let me finish.
Sorry.
If it fails, it may lead to something. The ability to deal with failure is grace. Because you have not decided what the outcome of your good works be. The outcome of your good works may not work, but you are compelled to do it in a proper way. And if it causes you trouble, don't be upset. If nothing happens, don't be upset. You said it. It may cause you trouble, and then you will deal with the trouble, and you may not succeed. Don't get upset. And so all that not upset is test. That you are not involved with it. You just do as you're told. It seems the right thing to do, and it is the right things to do. You can tell it's the right thing to do because it doesn't bother you when it's negative.
And
It doesn't have to, see, whatever I do doesn't mean to say it's going to be positive. It can come back to bite me. Okay, bite me.
I was going to say that that's the answer I got when I was here last week quietly to myself, and that's what faith is. I just completely have to let go of what the outcome was. And
Finish.
so, yeah.
I don't know what it's going to say next. I didn't expect the man's hand to stand up in the air like that. It did. He ran, and he got hold of his motorbike and ran down the street like he'd seen a ghost. He did, the Holy Ghost. I said, who's next? Everybody went away, superstitious. They didn't know what happened to him. The whole gang disappeared next day. Now, I went to all the residents, talked to them. They couldn't do anything. The police couldn't catch them. But I just do it. I just do it. It seems natural. And when people say, how do you do this? Why do you do this? It's dangerous. I don't know else. How else would you do it? Why is it you don't see that? How else can you do it? But you're puzzling. What puzzling? You won't get the answer by puzzling. I won't get the answer by puzzling. I'm just happy with the answer. I do not know what I would say next or do next. I don't know if I'm going to punch you in the nose or be nice to you. Or nice to you and I punch you in the nose on top of it.
I would prefer you to be nice to me.
I'm not as strong as he used to be. But there's a different kind of strength, which is more important. Did I explain it fair enough? Did you think Kephas will understand what I'm saying? Yes. Can you see that you don't have to expect a result? You only have to be the result of him. And you go on. And if you go to jail, you go to jail. And you make the best of it. And you'd be surprised. I've been in jail. You know that? I've told you before. I was practicing medicine. I wasn't practicing it. They said that I was, because I had the Institute of Hypnosis. Don't think I bought this for myself. It was a gift to me 25 years ago. I don't waste my money on this. I helped the family and they gave me the watch. Okay, but I haven't bought a suit in 40 years. Nothing, everything I'm wearing is 40 years old. Yeah, you could say it looks like it. But where was I? What was I saying?
In jail.
Yes. So, but you know, but I opened the Institute of Hypnosis because a child fell in the street. I was practicing and people would come to me. I had a diamond business, but yet the neighbors next door, people heard about it and they wanted to stop smoking. And this is my early therapy. In the military, I was playing games. I had a lot of fun. I didn't have to clean my shoes or clean my gun. I got other people to do it, and they thought they did more than me than the sergeant. So anyway, just a story, or rehashing of a story to make a point of my experience. And so I opened the Institute of Hypnosis, and immediately a person comes in and he says, I've been 25 years an alcoholic, nothing cures me, I'm going to die. I said, he had a chip on his shoulder. I could see that. Intuitively, I said, sit down. I said, close your eyes and just make your fingers tingle the way and that's all. That's all I did. That's all I intuitively did. It's not the whole thing, but it was part of the thing. That you're going to, if you go to the 7-minute meditation, you'll see that, or the meditation itself. But I've recently contracted the longer one to the shorter one, as follows, from the beginning. And I said, now go home. He says, when are you going to hypnotize me? I said, go home. Come back in 2 days. Just practice that. He comes back in 2 days. He says, what did you do to me? I said, nothing, you did it to yourself. A manner of speaking. I explained a few things to him the best I could, because I didn't understand it myself exactly. But slowly but surely I began to see hypnosis as the problem, not the solution. And that's what temptation is, hypnotic. But it lasts you for the rest of your life. And there's no communism, Marxism, understands the game of destroying a person's mind by pressure, temptation. Pressure, pressure, keep putting pressures, and if you're a government, create a solution that's worse than the cure. See? create a cure that makes it worse. I don't know how to say that properly. The cure is worse than the disease. Yes, the problem. Yes. So it multiplies until you're completely caught up in the wrong answers all the time. Drugs, alcohol, psychiatry. You go to all those, and each time a person gives you a solution is worse, because you haven't dealt with the problem of disconnection from God. All cause and effect. War, divorce, everything. Everything. That's why Jesus understood. He didn't have to do much. The radiation of who he was. It wasn't a radiation like blipping, with all kinds of noises in the air. It was who he was. It was a very metaphysical, which means magical. Evil is magic. Magic enough to understand, to focus on your spirit and destroy it, your common sense, and replace it with him talking to you in your mind, which you can't get rid of, no matter how much you try. See, I'm not a young man, but I understand these things. And it stands me in good stead. Because if I had enough stations to talk this way and say it right out, trust me and live, or hate me and die, that is, now I'm going to tell you a little story. My wife is losing her memory. She's okay, she has spouts where she's in good shape, but she's still irritated, and I try to get her to see it, but she's stubborn, and it's the way it should be. I'm not going to force myself on that, but I'm more gentle. I'm not strong in that sense. It is or not. I'm not going to. I get stronger and stronger. She gets weaker and weaker. Sorry, I can't help it. That's how it works. It's how it works. And so. Oh no, what was I going to say now? What was I going to say?
It started with she lost her memory.
Yeah, no, but that's not... Well, she hasn't lost it completely. But there was something I wanted to tell you, and it just disappeared. So, silence. But I think you got the point. That it is a relationship to your Creator, and that the metaphysics, I use the word metaphysics, which is outside physics. So he speaks to you about things. So it's the reason I can write a book on physics without going to school. And it is right on the money. They're asking right now, is gravity a push? If it was, we could have energy from the field. I've got the whole thing, but they can't grasp it. You still watch the videos on your screen as things starting from stuff. How can things start from stuff? It has to be fluid, like a river. It takes different shapes. Got to be. And so, I won't go into that. But intuitively, God shows me how things are made and why he did this to the human race. So that we are born into sin, but with salvation beckoning before we were born. And if you hate the truth, you die. Or you could say to yourself, wait a minute. I put something in their mind that does that. It gives them two choices, one of them positive, where the bad guy puts you in your mind two choices which are both wrong. You rebel and you conform. And you die. You are absolutely finished from that day on. Doesn't matter how much of a good face you put on. suffering, a meaningless life, and a life that's cut short from illness and diseases, where the doctors think of those diseases as standing in isolation, as if it was the disease itself, not the effect of a cause, and the cause and effect, and losing who we are from the day we were born. But that's not your problem. It's not your fault. It's the culture that pushes it on you, and you can't help but live out that culture whether you like it or not. And it gets to a point where the culture is so bad you don't dare not change, because they'll kill you. If you're born in Borneo, if you have a little twinkle in your eye, they put you in a soup pot. That's how much they hate the truth. That's why evil wins. We don't understand religion. We don't understand what Jesus said. It takes a Jewish boy to understand things like that. Salvation comes from the Jews, doesn't it? Did it not say that in your Christian? I'm Jewish, but I haven't lost, but I don't like verses and chapters. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of those who go to synagogue and matter. I understand, I see, and I perceive. That is the second eye. Jesus made it clear. You're not a dog. You don't sleep and awake. You're aware. A dog is not aware. It doesn't have intuition. It doesn't have a connection to God that it could lose. It is born with an instinct. It's just one of the toys God made. Look at all the different toys. It's fun to watch. See? This is what the universe is magic. What can produce such power? And keep giving the power. What kind of magician is it? You can't imagine it, but he's inside you. He is, the whole universe is everywhere, but it's also inside you. He maybe has given you an angel of some kind. I don't know how it works. I don't understand the energies and the forces involved. I just get better without knowing how I got better. I do better without knowing how I did better. But I like it. I like it. It's the opposite to the other. And there's the only two choices. It seems like I made it, but I don't remember making it. I just accepted it. I just said, oh, there's got to be there. There's got to be. It's talking to me how I made it. Listen, Roy, I'll show you how to make the universe. He doesn't say it that way. It's like that. I just remember a little story. I like this story. The devil and God got together one day, and he says, I can make a person, that's easy. Anybody could do that. He says, okay, let's see what happens to you. So he reaches down into the ground and picks up the mud. He said, you have to make that first. It's a whole chain of events before everything happened. He built the universe. He created it from his mind. Now you have to have some of that in you, and you become a magician. Through you, magical things happen. It's called the good life. It's called peace, sobriety. It also leads to everlasting life, whatever that is. Bingo. What more do you want, Kephas? You need to look at that doubt and stop struggling with it. I see you. Gone. It's that simple. It's the seeing it can't stand. So it shows you that doubt. It shows you, oh, I see that. Well, it means it's opposite. Doubt is opposite to faith, isn't it? It's an opposite faith. And you see it, oh, I see who you are. You don't have to say it. It's not words. It's like that. I see it. Gone. It can't stand. Whatever is inside you can't stand you looking at it, or it looking at it through this radiant eye. Because the radiant eye passes through the brain. It passes through all the thoughts. And it comes out the other end pure in the dealing with the next situation, preventing you from more of the same. Savvy? Everybody a lot better now? In other words, I have a saying, if you do nothing right, you do nothing wrong. Who can put the comma in the right place? The comma is this. I remember my teacher saying this. The only thing I can remember a teacher telling me anything. He says, commas are very important. He says, Caesar entered on his head was a helmet. If you put a comma in the wrong place, it says Caesar entered on his head. Got to be careful. What's your leg shaking for anyway?
That's what my life is like.
It was jumping up and down like it was listening to music.
It is all music, every bit of it.
Listen, we've been here 2 hours. Did you feel 2 hours here? 2 hours, exactly. You know why? You weren't in your wrong mind while you were listening. Time is different. Do you see me tired? No? I go on all day. You see, in your right mind, time doesn't mean anything. Inside me, I don't sense time. I sense my body, and but I don't have a sense of time, except my watch. It's only a place on a watch, so I can meet somebody or whatever. There's no time. No time because that is in me is timeless. I don't want that within me to be entangled with my material body. See, it's got to be, my body must be subject to it, not it subject to the body and to the world around you. You got it backwards. Listen, this is a nice audience today. I'm glad you all came. Did you get enough? We got some nice lunch for you.
Thank you.
We always do, no charge. If you want to donate, you can. And you want to have a question?
Yeah, I still want to know about what's going to happen in 6 weeks. From
Oh
hell
yes,
to-
it's called Civil War.
You think it's actually going to take place?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Why
It's
why
too
so?
late. It's too late to stop. Have you seen the latest Trump crowds?
Yeah?
They're all driven by Soros. Yes, it's all Soros stuff. He's giving them $10 in a sandwich, and to do that, they'll do anything for them.
The protesters.
Yes, the protesters want you to shut up. We don't want to hear what you have to say. Put me on radio. They won't shut me up. I'll shut them down. Because I understand. I understand the mind. And I have an authority over somebody else's mind because they don't have it over them. I know how to beat that. And did I tell you the story? I told you the story about my partner, this nurse. Did I tell you that story? Yes, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. She was being surrounded by the Nazis, and they were winding up the Jews, and she walked up. And that saved her life. That saved her life, the courage, a natural courage. Effortless. And the commandant looked at her, had respect. Be surprised. Just that makes a difference. And she doesn't know that. She didn't know what she was doing. She just did it. I understand that. She became a bitch in her later life, so don't worry about it. She married a weasel called my partner. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I